Hey everybody, this is Joe from Joe&ZO Pod, and we invite you to pull up a chair and let's talk some cards. Today we have a whole bunch of TTM successes to discuss. One that I'm really excited about, so let's get right into it, and let's actually start off with that one. This is coming out of postmarked Metroplex, Michigan. Sorry about that. And it's Mr. Oh, that's upside down. Mr. Frank Tanana. He signed 1 of 1 in 11 days, but he also included this signed testimonial, if you're into that. I'll just put that to the side right now. This is the card that I sent in. And I have to say that I had never heard of Frank Tanana before I was going through my cards to decide what to what to send in for TTMs, and I saw that he's a very good signer, so I sent it in. So I decided to look up his stats before I sent it in, and I was really excited to get this back because he was a really good pitcher. Let's go through some of his numbers, some of his career highlights. He pitched from 1973 to 1993, so 20 years in the big leagues. He was obviously a pitcher. Lefty, started off with the Angels, spent a couple years in Boston and with Texas. Then he went to the Tigers, and then finished off his career with the Mets and the Yankees. Here are his career numbers. He has a 57.1 WAR. He has a record of 240 and 236, which is a lot of decisions. I tried to look up who has the most decisions in Major League history, but he has almost 500 decisions. Obviously, pitchers like Cy Young, Walter Johnson, the guys who are at the top of the wins list will have more than that, but I just thought that to have 240 wins is a lot, and then to match it with 236 losses is pretty impressive. And actually, the 240 wins currently puts him at 58th overall in Major League history. Obviously, it was higher when he retired. And the 236 losses are actually 17th. So there is a lot of losses, but as we say, Brett Favre had the touchdown record and the interception record in football. You gotta be in the league a long time to have those records. I think Cy Young is first place for both wins and losses. So to have that many losses does not mean you're a bad player. It actually means that you pitched for a very long time and were successful. But he just got over the 500 mark over there for his record. Continuing on, he has a 3.66 career ERA, a 1.27 WHIP. He is 24th all-time in career strikeouts, which again would have been higher when he retired in 1993. And he's also 35th all-time in innings. So like I said, a lot of wins, a lot of losses, but he pitched a lot. 35th all-time in innings. Some career achievements. He was a 3-time All-Star. He won an ERA title. He won a strikeout title. He was top 10 in the Cy Young voting 3 times. 2 of those times he was top 5. He won division clinching games in 1979 with the Angels and 1987 with the Tigers, and that was back before the wild card. So if you won your division, you were already competing for the pennant. So those are some of his career achievements. Let's go into his career itself. He was drafted 13th overall in 1971 by the Angels. He was a great fielder as well. He did not win any Gold Gloves or anything like that, but if you look at his career fielding stats, they're also very good. He teamed up with Nolan Ryan while on the Angels. They're known as one of the best duos in Major League history to pitch in the same rotation. He had a great career with the Angels, but he was plagued by arm troubles the entire time. He never got any surgeries. He was always able to do rehab and massages and stuff like that. But it really affected how he pitched. He was a flamethrower, but he had to change his pitching style to more of a junk ball pitcher. But he was successful with that too, which just shows you how smart he was and how talented he was. So eventually, the Angels, he was not finding as much success anymore, so the Angels traded him to Boston, where he had a terrible year. The next year, he signed with Texas for a few years, where he also did not do as well. And they eventually traded him to the Tigers in 1985, which was a big thrill for him, he says, because he's actually from Detroit. As we said, this letter actually was postmarked from Michigan. And once he got to Detroit, he got back to his winning ways. He once again was one of the best pitchers in baseball. Not as good as he had been with the Angels, but definitely a very solid top of the rotation guy for some good Tigers teams. So the next thing we usually do is best season. And I have a best season picked out, but I really wanted to also take a 4-year stretch of his, just to show how dominant he was before the injuries. This is from 1975 to 1978 with the Angels. So he was ages 21 to 24. This is what he did at 21 to 24. Listen to this. In those 4 years, he was 68 and 40. Okay, so that's over 15 wins a year. He had a 2.79 ERA. He had 69 complete games, 18 shutouts. Okay, so that's over 4 a year. 872 strikeouts, which again, that's over 200 a year, and a 1.1 whip. Okay, and that's ages 21 to 24. So if he didn't have the arm troubles, who knows what this guy could have done with his career, and he was already a pretty good pitcher. So take your pick of any of those seasons. The one for his best one, the one I decided on was 1976, where he went 19 and 10 with a 2.43 ERA, 23 complete games, 2 shutouts, 261 strikeouts, and a whip under 1, 0.98. That was his whip. And he finished third for the Cy Young Award, which actually went to Jim Palmer. Second that year was Mark Fidrich. So 2 pretty good pitchers in front of him. And the truth is, looking at the stats, and I don't want to get into that discussion right now, but nowadays, if you took 3 pitchers with those stats, Palmer won, I think, because he had the most wins. He had 22 wins. Tanana and Fidrich each had under 20. Tanana had 19. I think nowadays, I don't know what the debate was back in 1976 for the Cy Young and what statistics they measured and stuff like that, but nowadays with advanced metrics and stuff like that, I think Tanana may have actually come away with it. A couple bits of trivia, 2 pieces of trivia to be exact. First one is that in 1975, in a game, he struck out 17 batters in 9 innings, which at the time was a record for a lefty in the American League. And the second bit is that in 1976, he threw 13 scoreless innings in a no decision in a game that eventually went 16 that the Angels won, but he got a no decision. And parting thought for Frank Tanana is injuries, man. Like if he could have stayed healthy, who knows how good this guy would have been. And my opinion is that if you want to be in the Hall of Fame, you got to be better than Frank Tanana, because I can understand why he's not in the Hall. He actually, in 1999, when he was on the ballot, did not get a single vote. And I can understand why he's not in the Hall of Fame, but in my opinion, if anyone worse than him gets in the Hall of Fame, that is inexcusable, and he should be the benchmark. Better than him, you could get in. Other than that, we're not talking. And that's Mr. Frank Tanana, which again, I was very excited to get his card. All right, second one. That was a lot on Frank Tanana. I apologize, but he was a good player. He's an exciting guy. Second card is coming from San Juan, Puerto Rico. I didn't know this, but apparently San Juan, no extra cost for a stamp. I knew it was a U.S. territory, but did not realize it was under the same auspices of the U.S. Postal Service. And we have Junior Ortiz, who signed 1 of 1 in 10 days. He played from 1982 to 1994 as a backup catcher. So that's 12 years as a backup catcher in the league. He obviously, he was a good teammate. I found some information that he was known as a really good teammate, and to play 12 years in the league as a backup catcher, you know, a guy who you would think would be easily replaceable, I think says a lot about him. He played for the Pirates, the Mets, the Pirates again, the Twins, where he won the 91 World Series, the Indians, and the Rangers. Career offensive numbers not so impressive, a -.3 WAR, 256 average, 5 homers, 186 RBIs, and a OPS of 610. He was undrafted out of Puerto Rico. You could say that his best season, again, he was a backup catcher, so he didn't have so many plate appearances or game appearances. But in one season, I have not written down the year over here. I'll have to include that. You'll find that on the side of the screen, the year, because I forgot to write it down. So he played 71 games, had 187 plate appearances, and hit .335 with 18 RBIs. And he made no errors as a catcher. So that would be his best season, and that would be Junior Ortiz. Next one is postmarked out of Nashville, Tennessee. And it is Mr. Mark Parent, who signed 1 of 1 in 11 days. Another backup catcher, who also played 12 years in the league from 86 to 98. with the Padres, Rangers, Orioles, Cubs, Pirates, Tigers, the Orioles again, and finished off with the Phillies. He was drafted in the 4th round by the Padres in 1979. You can see it took him a while to make it to the majors. He had a career numbers of 1.7 WAR, 214 average, 53 homers, 168 RBIs, and a 642 OPS. So similar to Ortiz, his best season is not a complete season, but it would have been in 1995 where he split time between the Pirates and the Cubs, where he played in 81 games and he hit 234 with 18 homers and 38 RBIs. One bit of trivia for Mr. Parent, in 1996 he was playing for the Orioles and he hit the 241st team home run of the year, which at the time broke a major league record, which has obviously been shattered since then. But that is Mr. Parent, just a little bit of trivia there. And we are on to the next one. Next one comes out of Santa Clarita, California, and it is Mr. Billy Ashley. He signed 2 of 2 in 13 days, very nicely. He was an outfielder who played from 92 to 98 with the Dodgers and the Red Sox. Not so good career numbers, a negative 2.1 WAR with a 233 average, 28 homers, and 84 RBIs. He was drafted in the 3rd round by the Dodgers in 1988. He had an excellent minor league career, and he was a very highly regarded prospect. As you can see, actually, both of these cards are prospect cards. He was 2 times minor league player of the year for the Dodgers in their system. He had a lot of power in the minor leagues, but by the time he got to the majors, it just didn't translate. One of those guys who I would call a 4A guy, where they're just too good for the minors but cannot hack it in the majors. He struck out a lot. He couldn't play defense, and he didn't get on base. So once he wasn't hitting homers anymore, he was mostly a pinch hitter, spot starter kind of guy. His best season, you could say, again, he was primarily a pinch hitter. So in 1995 with the Dodgers, he hit 237 with 8 homers and 27 RBIs. He spent 1 year in 1998 where he played 13 games with the Red Sox before going down to the minors. And that's when his major league career ended. All right, don't worry, we're almost finished. I know it's a long video, but this was a good day. I got a lot of responses today, and I like to give the history of these players. And it's Mr. Dion James. He signed 1 of 1 in 10 days. He played from 1983 to 96. He was an outfielder for the Brewers, the Braves, the Indians, and the Yankees. He was drafted 25th overall in 1980 by the Brewers. Decent career. He had a 6.2 WAR, a 288 average, 32 homers, 266 RBIs, and a 755 OPS. His best season came in 1987, where he hit 312 with 10 homers and 61 RBIs. And that's really all the information I could find on him. Nothing really stood out about his career. He did play a decent amount, 13 years, and he definitely made an impact. 6.2 WAR is a replacement player for sure. Yeah, if anyone has any fun tidbits or trivia about Dion James, please let me know, and I'll be happy to include it in a future video. And the last one today is actually our 3rd backup catcher of today. It is Mr. Danny Schaefer. He signed 1 of 1 in 13 days, plus he included this signed card, also a Christian testimonial similar to Frank Tanana. So, but he sent that along for free, and if you're into that, you'll get 2 for the price of 1 for sending in to Danny Schaefer. He played from 1987 to 1997. So again, like our other 2 backup catchers today, these were guys who were obviously good catchers, who were stuck around for a while, even though they were not great hitters, just because they were valuable at their jobs. Who did he play for? He played for the Red Sox, the Indians, the Rockies, and the Cardinals. He was drafted actually 20th overall in the 1981 draft by the Red Sox. His career totals a negative 4.7 WAR. So even with that, he stuck around with a 232 average, 13 homers, 110 RBIs. And again, he was a backup catcher, never spent too much time in the majors at one season, or played enough any one season for me to call anything a best season for him. But he was in and out of the majors for 10 years. So he definitely made an impact there. And that's Mr. Schaefer, and that's it for today. 6 players, 6 TTM responses. Thanks for sticking around through this long video and a couple technical difficulties. Please email us, joeandzopod@gmail.com. Please like this video, subscribe if you're interested, and please be in touch and let us know what other types of videos you would like to see. Hopefully we're also going to get some a better setup over here. I know that this is not the best setup that you could have for one of these videos, and I appreciate everyone who's watched this far. Okay, so thanks for pulling up a chair with us, and until next time, this has been Joe from Joe&ZO, and we'll see you next time to talk some more cards.